What is up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of What Did Adam Say? Season 3, Episode 17. Today, I think I forgot to book a guest. I'm gonna be honest. Next week is my album release party, and I completely just kind of dropped the ball and forgot to book somebody today. So, instead of having a guest on, what I'm gonna do is show you guys some of my favorite moments through the past 3 years of working in the cannabis industry, panels and speeches and things like that, interviews. So we're going to go that route today. We're going to play some epic speeches and interviews. We're going to start this off the right way with my favorite speech that I think I've ever given at the Hemp Coalition rally on the State House steps in Boston. So make sure you guys share. We're going to play this intro music, then we're going to get it right into this first speech. So let's go.
Wait, what am I doing? Created a movement, won't ruin what you are pursuing. But I wake up every morning never yawning, cause I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. Cause I'ma make it, yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it. I wake up with the intent to make the day my bitch. And I don't need to hear you talking, so just shut your lips. I'ma make it. Yeah, I'ma make it, I'ma make it, I'ma make it. Lord have mercy, I'ma make it up. This shit is crazy, right? This shit is crazy.
So this is a moment when this shit is actually crazy, right? Like, looking back at some of these moments that I'm going to play, it's wild to think that they were almost 2 years ago, some of them. Some of them were over 2 years ago. So this is, it's wild to, like, think about this journey that I've been on with cannabis and how far it's come, you know, like, this first thing that I'm going to play is us just fighting for rights to grow hemp and treat hemp like an agricultural commodity. And unfortunately, we have not been able to do so. So we have to, you know, do things like have epic speeches on the State House steps. So I made videos. There was, I think, 30 people that spoke that day, and somebody shot a live video of it. And what I did is I went through and I picked out, I clipped everybody's videos. So I sent out 30 different videos to the Hemp Coalition of people's speeches. And here is mine. I did a little intro for the beginning too because they were trying to raise awareness and whatnot. Life was much better pre-COVID.
So next up, very recently I had the opportunity, believe it was at the Harvest Cup, to interview with a new friend of mine, who has an incredible podcast, but he also is a hemp farmer, and has recently just gotten his MDR license. So up next I'd like to introduce Adam Souza. Where are you? Oh, there he is, Adam from Urban Acres.
You'll probably have to turn it down for me. I have a loud voice. How's it going? I'm Adam Souza from Urban Acres. We're a small craft farm in Taunton, Massachusetts, trying to build the first large-scale hemp processing facility.
I just want to preface this by saying I may or may not have been microdosing on mushrooms.
Need a little history lesson here. By way of royal decree, King James I requires all citizens to grow 100 plants of hemp for export. The governor shall grow 5,000. 1619. George Washington grew hemp on Mount Vernon as one of his 3 major crops. It was such a used crop that we had to import it because it was in such high demand. 400 years ago, we knew what this plant could do. Hemp was one of the first crops that the Pilgrims sought after. And in 1632, there was mandatory hemp cultivation laws passed here in Massachusetts and in Connecticut. It was used to feed our livestock, which put hemp and cannabinoids into our system. It was used for rope and many textiles for ships. It was so serious that in the 17th century, if you refused to grow hemp, you could go to jail. How crazy is that? I totally just forgot the rest. Stoner moment, hold on.
Stoner moment.
Randy wants everybody to come closer to
So,
me.
but, like,
we need to stop moving around. It's a little
those
warm,
are the
you know?
moments
Boot
when
camp told me, don't lock your knees, you'll pass out.
boot camp told me don't lock your knees, you'll
Yes,
pass out. So those are the moments when you're microdosing. Normally, I think I would have kind of freaked out and been like, "Oh man, what's my line? What's my line?" I just made a joke about it. Everybody laughed. Nobody cared.
Passage, that too. I wanted you guys to get closer to me,
Overthinking.
though, really.
It sucks.
Where were we? It was used to pay farmers taxes and even
Stacey,
barter
yes,
from
you were.
1619 all the way to the early 1900s. What happened?
Wait, did we
Between-
even know each
even
other back
before
then?
COVID.
I don't think we did.
Between 1911 and 1913, Massachusetts became the first state to make Indian hemp illegal. It was the first law of its kind in our nation to make cannabis or hemp illegal. Now, after over 100 years of propaganda, reefer madness, and a lot of lies,
A lot
here
of
we are.
lies.
Our nation on the verge of an economic collapse. Our citizens polarized and poor. Pollution at an all-time high and ever growing. Health at an all-time low. And farmers losing their land.
That's wild. Stacey.
It's time for change.
So you saw me speak before you ever tend to cross paths.
And yet, we fight over growing the one plant that could boost our local and federal economies. Get rid of plastics and other harmful things. And nourish our bodies and endocannabinoid systems.
Yes.
We've been told to pull all of our consumables off our shelves, while every single gas station is allowed to have bottom tier quality CBD products
Yes,
that some
2
of them
years
don't
ago.
even test to have CBD in them.
I was 29. Feel like a
Our
baby.
local manufacturers and farmers and retailers take pride in our high quality, independent, lab tested products. And this isn't just for us. In order to protect our consumers, we have to encourage our farmers to grow in this economy. If we don't, it's gonna just encourage cheap imports that are gonna make people sick. When we have the finest craft in the whole entire country right here, don't we? We need to get back to letting the farmers boom like we did for the first 300 years of building this great country. So in short, by way of Massachusetts Hemp Coalition decree, help hemp grow. Thank you.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. Help hemp grow. Let hemp grow.
That was so fun, honestly. I need to get to doing more of that again because it was. Why my camera angle off? I'm like just the top of my head is showing. That was a lot of fun. That was a lot of fun. That's the one thing I'm really hoping for is when, hopefully, when things get back to not so ridiculousness, that we can get back to these days. Right? Did you end up speaking that day, Stacy? I know a ton of people did. I have all of theirs. Watch, let me show you. I have every single person's speech. If I can find it. It was pretty crazy. It was a fun day. I remember Joanne Duggan was right after me and she's like, "How do I follow up that speech?" It was the first speech I've ever given, really. And when I told her that, she was like, "Excuse me? Like, that's not normal." Where the heck is it? I just saw all of these videos. Where the heck did I save them? Ah, here we go. Here, watch. I'll share my screen. There's so many, like, cool names to have on here because um, look at that. Will Luzier, Sandy Bernier, Melissa Faulkner, Marty Dagoberto, Linda Noel, Laura Zach, Kyle Black, a who's who of hemp and CBD and cannabis in New England at the time. At the time, I mean, most of us are still very relevant, very relevant. So that was a super fun time. I need to get back on the state house steps again, and speak some more, do some more legal work. I guess I don't know the correct term for it. My mind is blanking. It's not a protest, but so last year, which was a year after I spoke about this, we were supposed to, and I say supposed to because, and I'll explain that. We were supposed to change one of the hemp guidelines, which was that you cannot grow hemp in Massachusetts on restricted land. So what a lot of farmers did to not have to sell off their land, they made it restricted, protected land, so they could farm on it. That's it. They don't consider hemp an agricultural commodity like every other plant that grows in the world. So farmers are unfortunately not able to grow hemp on protected land. Last year, after going to 6 a.m. Farmers Bureau meetings, instead of just the cannabis side and staying with the cannabis side, I went straight to the Farmers Bureau. And there, I was able to talk to both of my representatives on both sides, the Senate and the House. Both of them let me know. I already knew about one of them, but both of them already let me know that they had a bill in motion, different numbers. They both wanted credit for it, to allow hemp on protected land. And I said, so what the hell is going on? Why can't we just sign this? And somebody literally let me know, somebody very high up in Farmers Bureau let me know that, it's a measuring contest, if you know what I mean. And there is one of the politicians that had a farm, so maybe we could do an announcement on the news at his farm on Ag Day, which was March 27th last year. Yet another thing that the shutdown screwed up. It screwed up the fact that farmers could be farming hemp right now. Wild, wild to me. And I I hope we can eventually get this changed because honestly, it's very ridiculous that they can't grow a plant, which is part of agriculture, in there. So, what up, Ty? Why is it not showing me people's comments? Let me refresh this shit. Actually, let me play the next video and then I'll refresh my screen so you guys aren't left in the dark. Alright, so the next one I'm gonna play is from one of my dear friends, Janet McAllister. It was the first event that I was invited out to do media at. This was Harvest Cup 2018. 18. And before that, I had gone to Sensi Night. I was gonna play this clip, but the audio was disgusting. I went to Sensi Night because my buddies from Token with the Dead invited me out there and said, "Hey, you know how to do shit with a camera? You know how to speak to people? Come out here and interview people." So I did. And Jen Borgeson from the Harvest Cup, who runs everything, they were friends with her. So we started talking, and she was like, "Hey, come out to Harvest Cup and do media. We're not gonna pay you, but we'll give you a free pass. You'll get to come for free. You can do what you want." And I said, "Oh, snap. I don't even know what I would do, but okay." And I made a post on the Harvest Cup group website on Facebook, and I said, "Hey, I'm going to interview y'all, the vendors there. I don't have a product to sell." At the time, I didn't. It was November 2018. I didn't even have my hemp company at all. It wasn't really there. I was making CBD products, but I didn't have a company fully formed yet. And so I made a post on the group, and I said, Anybody that wants to get interviewed, I have a decent sized audience, and I would like to interview you and learn your story. There was two reasons I did this. I'll be quite honest. One, I wanted to learn more about the cannabis industry. Two, I like to help people. And what better way to help people than to just go to where the people are, right? So, this is my interview with the lovely Janet McAllister, and I hope y'all enjoy this. It made me cry. Oh, that's the other thing. This made me cry. Um, the first time when I was editing it, I was editing it back, and I didn't. When I was there, the energy and everything of it, like if you've ever been to any of these Harvest Cups and Freedom Rallies and Nicans, the energy of that place is crazy, crazy. So I didn't feel the full emotion of Janet's amazing story while I was there. And when I was editing it, I literally was bawling my eyes out listening back to it because it's such a powerful, amazing story. So, is this the right window? No, it's not. I do this every time. I go to share a window, and it's just not the right one. Alright, I couldn't see people's comments. There we go. Ooh, Ty, yes. I need to get on your next project for sure. I just finished my album. It's releasing next week. First solo album with no features. And, yeah, I'm about to release, I think Friday. Probably Friday. I'm gonna release a, little promo verse for the album, little remix verse. So, oh, Janet. I miss Janet. I definitely need a hug from her soon. I miss so much of y'all, honestly. Stacy, I miss your good hugs. All the women in this industry are amazing. Y'all rock. So here we go. I'm gonna hopefully not cry again. Can I just say, y'all, like I said, this is my first media event. And if you know anything about shooting video, and now that I know more, it really bothers me. But look back here. Look at where the focus is. My face is blurry as hell. Janet's face is blurry. But when he's in frame, it's completely. It's focused back here. You can't hear the interview? Oh, my bad. Oops. Sorry about that. Let me double check it.
Hey guys, how's it going? This is Adam from AA for Entrepreneurs, here with Janet from Hippie Chick Natural Solutions. I didn't want to screw that up. My memory is terrible from too much cannabis there. How you doing today?
There's some good cannabis out there today.
Definitely. I just actually got a CBD candy that I can't wait to try.
Yeah, you'll love our CBD candies. We also do the candy canes and pillow candies. All of our gingerbread houses are made using our CBD infused candies as well.
I can't wait to try some of that.
Excellent.
It looks so delicious. I fail so hard at making gingerbread houses, so I don't know how you do it.
We brought in a professional baker. He actually is with the team for the weekend.
Oh, you got the cheat code then.
We got the cheat code, yes.
You want to say hi to the camera?
This is Tank Harris. He's a baker, and he's won a few gingerbread house competitions. So
It looks
he was
amazing.
perfect asset to the team for the weekend.
It looks like I need to eat it right now. So for my listeners and watchers that might not know who you are, can you tell us a little bit about your business and maybe how you got started?
Absolutely. My business, I'm Janet. My business is Hippie Chick LLC. You can find us on the internet at hippiechickllc.com. I came into the business 2.5 years ago. I lost my husband to Crohn's disease, and I was 28 weeks pregnant with my kids. I have twins who are now 8. Crohn's is hereditary, and pharma killed him. It was prednisone that enlarged his heart. His heart exploded in the middle of the night, and we lost him instantly.
So sorry,
And I don't want anybody else that I love dying because of drugs. Whether you're addicted to the painkillers that are out there, or whether you're genuinely sick and you can't find a different option, come check out this venue, because you have so many options available. And the beautiful thing is there are 1,000 different companies that are all bringing amazing, amazing options for patients.
Just a quick count, there's probably at least 200 vendors here.
At least. I had heard it was a show of 300 vendors, which excited me tremendously. There's just so many different options out there for patients.
It makes me happy. Were you here last year?
I was.
So the growth from last year, this is
Yes.
incredible.
I think it's doubled in size from last year. This is probably right now the largest show in Massachusetts.
Maybe even New England. I
Perhaps,
think.
yes.
Harvest Cup doing big things. Shout out to you, Jen and Jeremy.
Yeah, they put on a great venue and a great event, and we're just really excited to be here.
Awesome. So kind of piggybacking off of that, how do you feel that Massachusetts is doing with the legislation for cannabis?
I think that I'm from Maine, so I don't know as much about the Massachusetts laws as Maine does, as I do the Maine laws.
Yep.
I think they're pretty comparable in where they're at, although you guys actually have retail shops open now and we don't necessarily. So I think there's a long way to go, but there's a lot of promising steps. At the end of the day, if you can get those shops open and provide options for patients,
Yep.
that's what it's all about. Just people should not be stuck on what they're doing right now.
Exactly. It's all baby steps, and I hear some people that say that like, oh, Massachusetts is like trying to screw us or something like that, but it takes a lot when you have 107 years of illegality
Right.
and lies
Prohibition.
and propaganda, against cannabis. It takes some time to change that.
It does, and I don't think the regulations that are coming down are bad. I think at the end of the day, again, it's about providing safety and quality for patients in need. And I'm okay with.
We got like 5 more minutes on that interview, but Max, you are totally right. Harvest Cup was a huge eye-opener for me, too. I had gone to Harvest Cup the year before, and funny enough, I won a raffle from Mass Cannabis Community from Jen. And I won like a nice bong that I broke after my like 3rd time using it because I was trying to wash it. I won 2 Celtics tickets, and I was lucky enough to be able to take the neighbor next door to his first Celtics game. That was cool, and met some cool people. And I think I got reconnected with Token with the Dead because of that. You and Nod. What? What about my Nod? Oh, my nod in the video. Come on, man, rookie nod. It's a rookie nod. I was wet behind the ears. Yeah, you see. But Max, it was such an eye opener. The energy there is like I still just think about it and get chills. I get chills. It was so crazy. But here's the rest of this interview.
With the regulations in Maine and Massachusetts, it's as long as they're clear and we can all remain in compliance. It should be a profitable market.
Yeah, I definitely think so, and be able to help so many people.
Exactly.
So many people.
Exactly.
How has cannabis been able to help you personally?
Me personally, up until 10 years ago, I was heavily addicted to a number of opiates. I herniated 2 discs in my lower back when I was like 22. And at that age, I was not a cannabis user at all. I grew up in a very strict household.
One last interruption, I promise. If you notice while you're watching, you'll see the camera go and like shake, it's because literally right behind this camera is an aisle where if you've ever been to any of these conventions, there was literally 10 to 15 different booths right in this little aisle, and I had to like position myself to not be too in the way, but some people weren't paying attention. They would kick my tripod.
To watch my brother get arrested for pot. So, I stayed away from it, and I got off of 14 different drugs using cannabis and CBD and apothecary. That's the other thing we bring in here in my company is essential oils.
So important. The combination of both, because I actually mess around with it a little bit. I make like beard balms and deodorants
Yes.
too, and I was able to make like balms that were not only good for like pain, but like you could rub it in your hand and smell it, and your anxiety was just like boom,
Yes,
gone.
the aromatherapy. People, when you're using essential oils like in a bath bomb, you're not only getting the physical effects, but that aromatherapy gives you an instant psychological reaction, whether it's a calming effect or whether it's just pain relief or whether it's whatever you need. It's just a fantastic effect.
Yep. Exactly. Miracle plant for sure.
Many miracle plants in there.
Yep.
From frankincense to spikenard to cannabis to hemp. There are many miracle plants in there.
Gotta love it. The naturopathic approach is so real, and I'm so happy to see it gaining steam and knock out Big Pharma. We don't need them.
Well, I think Big Pharma has its place in some cases, just not as your first course of action. I don't want to see Big Pharma go away. I want them to get clean.
Yeah,
I want them to be more patient before profit. I want them to develop chemo and radiation that doesn't cause secondary cancers. I think we live in a day and age where that is possible.
Very much.
And if we as advocates for our own health do not push for that, they will not change. This movement is exactly what will force that change.
Exactly.
Because when you take their money, you're going to take their power.
Yep.
Take their money away, and you will force healthy change for us.
Simple as that. If you're watching this, you're going to notice a trend of not only cannabis being able to, this is the third interview out of 6 that it's helped somebody get off opiates.
Yes.
And not only that, but just talking about all the different benefits. I'm blown away right now. It's incredible.
To be in an environment like this and hear some of the stories is incredibly empowering.
Very much so.
I had a gentleman come here and meet me today. We've been treating his granddaughter for brain cancer. And we do, from Maine, bring THC tinctures to her because life is more important than that gray area of the law as far as I'm concerned.
Yep.
The only way to get rid of Big Pharma is to make sure this little girl doesn't suffer from radiation burns, doesn't suffer from secondary cancers. She has had cancer since she was 3 years old. She's now 13. Her second bout of cancer is caused from her treatments. Demand better.
Yeah.
Demand better for yourselves, for your kids. No mama should have to watch their baby suffer with that.
I truly believe that chemotherapy probably kills more people than cancer.
Yes, they'll blame it on the cancer, but chances were it was caused from the chemotherapy. Whether it's breaking down their immune system or causing a secondary cancer or burning the shit out of their skin, it's caused from that treatment. And we should have better options.
It's time for change.
Time for change.
And the more we talk about it, the more that change will happen.
Yes.
So thank you so much for
Thank
sitting
you.
here and talking to me. Just to kind of wrap up, just to tell my listeners and watchers where they could find you on social media.
On social media, for Instagram, we're Hippie Chick NS. On Facebook, you can find us at Hippie Chick Natural Solutions. And of course, for any website needs, you can find us at hippiechickllc.com.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
That makes me laugh. That whole thing makes me happy because there's so many rookie mistakes in there, like, and just like so much noobism. Like when it ends, it just flips to black. Who said that looked good? Who said that? She brings up a lot of good points though, and a lot of things that I talk about a lot. Right, Big Pharma being bad and Big Pharma not being for us. I do think chemo has killed more people than cancer. That's my opinion. I want to know what y'all think. Do you think chemo or cancer has killed more people? Now, obviously, if you die from chemo, you had to have cancer to get chemo, so I guess that's still dying from chemo. I mean, cancer, but you know what I mean. Um, yeah, great interview. Great interview. Do you guys want to see another one from there before I put on this last panel? It's with Randy McCaffrey from it used to be C3RN, but now it's the Cannabis Center of Excellence. Elijah says chemo for sure. I think so too. I mean, if you look at the history of chemo, it really was created to hurt people, and they figured out that it killed cancer too because it killed everything. Ta-da! It kills cells. Cancer's a cell. Ta-da! um, yeah. See, grandmother found out she had cancer, started chemo, and died 2 weeks later. Why? And I've said this multiple times. I almost put up another panel today, but it was like an hour and some change long, so I didn't want to make it too long. But in that, I said we're not allowed, and I've said this almost everywhere, I'm not allowed to say that I've cured people of cancer, which is kind of bullshit. But I can say that I have helped people with no chemo at all have no cancer on their screens, on their blood work, or be able to be felt anymore. Not cured, but you be the judge. And one of them was supposed to have a complete hysterectomy, and she just had a baby last month after having no more cancer in her blood work or screens. I talk about it all the time. It's one of my proudest moments ever, and I made like negative thousands of dollars off that. I'm proud of it. Someday when I make multi-million-dollar deals, which is on the table, I just need to eat. I still don't think that will be a better accomplishment than that. So, I do think chemo, unfortunately, does kill more people, and that's not to say cancer doesn't kill people. That's not at all what I'm saying, because it does. But there's a few different things, right? I've been listening to a few different doctors and studying more into cancer because I want to really understand it, right? Like, I was listening to a doctor that said that biopsies could potentially spread cancer more ferociously. And it's because he said that the cancer is basically contained into this bubble, right? Into this tumor. The tumor is basically like the body's way of protecting the cancer from spreading into other parts of your body, from what I understood. I might be off on that. But he said on this encapsulated bubble, this tumor, when you then pop it, you're releasing those cancer cells and all that bad shit in there into your bloodstream. I don't know if that's true, but it makes a whole lot of sense to me, man. It makes a whole lot of sense to me, man. Thank you, Ty. Thank you. I mean, shit. We met in LA in 2015, 6 years ago now, damn. And I was not this person back then. Starting to be. Wanting to be. So I guess that's the first start, you know. Y'all want to see here? You know what? I'm just gonna play it because it was a really.
Hey, how's it going, guys? Adam from AA for On.
I had some amazing interviews, honestly. This was Harvest Cup 2018, like I said, and I love Randy. If you don't know Randy, you're missing out.
Entrepreneurs here with Randy from. It's a long name. Cannabis Community Care and Research. It's C3RN.
Yeah, C3RN for sure, definitely. Yeah.
I knew I was going to screw that up. I was like, I need to look down.
Yeah,
how you doing today, man?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How are you?
Amazing, honestly. Like, so many good vibes here, so many good people, like-minded people. It's just such an amazing event.
For sure. That's why it's community in our name, you know. I mean, that's definitely what we are here, for sure.
It's so important that, you know, when I see these events of us coming together as a community, every time that this happens, we all grow.
Yes, you know, and the whole group in general is pretty friendly. So, you know, you immediately make a friend once you break bread, so to speak.
I feel like the rude potheads get weeded out quickly.
Yeah, excuse the pun.
Yeah, how about
It's too many of them. It's a budding industry, you know.
I love it, man. So tell us a little bit about what C3RN does.
Sure. So Cannabis Community Care and Research Network, we were founded about 2 years ago now. I partnered with my partner, Dr. Mary McNabb. Basically, we're a research network and advocacy group.
I love Dr.
The first
McNabb.
year of our existence, we advocated for research licenses to be put into the regulatory framework of Question 4, and we succeeded. And so from that point forward, we started to roll into an educational series designed around the science of cannabis. So social equity portions of the actual state of the science, testing, opiates, and how it can be an alternative therapy to cannabis. Also, we like to use a term, instead of seed to sale, we call it seed to bedside. So you can actually see health outcomes on the back end of your genetics. And it's such precision medicine, and the plant is so complex. So what we're trying to do is actually source research through citizen science. So citizen science is originally based in like ornithology, where bird watchers would, watch migrations of bird, and they would aggregate lots of data through their community of bird watchers. So what we're doing is that in the cannabis space, since it's federally legal to generally, research the plant, and the barriers are huge, and a double-blind placebo trial is millions and millions of dollars, and it doesn't work anyways, because the problem with a double-blind trial is how do you blind cannabis? You're high if you take it. They're using Benadryl and other drugs. And then on the other side, the placebo is a sugar pill. And so sugar produces anandamide in your brain, which also bonds with your CB1 receptor, which throws off the study. So it's the best way the way we feel the best way to do research is through crowdsourcing, through anecdotal evidence, but aggregating that into real knowledge. Yep.
Yeah, it's so important. I feel like with cannabis being illegal, especially in this state, for over 100 years, there's so much misinformation out there, and there's been such a lack of studies and research, like you're saying, throughout the years. Like, we don't even know exactly what cannabis does for pregnant women. It could help them, and we have no clue.
Exactly, and people are scared of that one specifically. So we launched our first research study recently with UMass Dartmouth. It's IRB approved. We're about to publish in an academic journal.
Oh, wow.
And so we have over 3,000 respondents. And it's a basic consumer snapshot, patient snapshot. So what are your ailments? What are your symptoms from your ailments? What products do you use? What strains? What dosages? In what form? So say you're a Crohn's patient, and so we did it with dispensaries, right? So they can understand their population better. So say 50% of their patients that have Crohn's use biodiesel in a 10 milligram edible form. When a new patient comes in with Crohn's, the patient advocate can inform that patient better. So they're not so much trial and error. So that's kind of the basic snapshot. And we have stigma questions in there. Do you fear your workplace, knowing, things like that. And we've gotten some incredible results. So 71% of all of our respondents nationally are actively reducing their prescription medication using cannabis. And that's real data that you can take to a city council, you can take to your family members, and to show that you're not the only one trying to understand this plant for yourself and try to get yourself off standard pharmaceuticals that probably have more side effects than they do good. So.
Yeah, most of the time the pharmaceuticals aren't actually trying to cure anything, they're just covering it up, whereas cannabis can actually cure things, and we've seen it.
Exactly. We know it's an analgesic, it's an anti-inflammatory, amongst many neuroprotectant, amongst many other things. So there's a lot of evidence. There's just not been a lot of real studies in the United States. And so that's where we're moving into, and we're going to be we're awarded the social equity training vendor program for the state. So people disproportionately affected by the drug war are mandated to have priority access into the industry. So we're in the procurement process right now, still with the state, but we expect to be awarded a contract real soon, and so we'll be a state training vendor. And we've developed a workforce training program with Holyoke Community College and with the city of Holyoke to do state certificate program training. So basic workforce training, HR, OSHA, that kind of stuff, but also the endocannabinoid system, and online and in-person didactic learning, plus an internship apprenticeship program, since you can't touch the plant on the college campus, but if you can apprentice at a dispensary or even at a CPA or a lawyer's office, depending on what part of the industry you want to get into, because, as you know, it's still an industry and it needs every single aspect of any other industry would need, right down to, not only patient advocates and stuff and growers, but you need, a CPA, or you need a lawyer, or you need someone doing HR, all that stuff is necessary to create a real vibrant industry that we want to see,
Yeah, and I think it's, heading in that direction. Kind of piggybacking off of that question, how do you feel like our state is doing with the legislation?
I'm so whack. I said that in 2 interviews that I showed. Piggybacking off of that, like, just transitions, shit that you learn. Like, watching back on all these interviews, I don't know what y'all think, but I just nitpick it. I'm like, man, I should have jumped in there. He was trailing off because I was just not controlling the interview like you're supposed to. And it's a learned skill. I've been podcasting for 4 years now, so I'm starting to get okay at it.
Cannabis.
I have been on the, at these meetings. I've been on the front lines of these meetings. Massachusetts is a pretty bureaucratic state, but the one thing about it is it is a commonwealth. In the commonwealth, and in that essence, everything that they do has to be public. Now that presents a lot of barriers for them to do things quickly. So, but it's something also that you want. So it's sort of a give and take. So, of course, we all feel they're moving slow, but the fact of the matter is that they're trying to build it properly now, so that a regulated market will run smoothly later. So, if you know the inner workings of Massachusetts state government, I would say they're doing a fantastic job. If you don't, you're probably saying they suck. But overall, these people are working really hard to try to get this off the ground. Now, that social equity program is a whole new thing. It's the first statewide social equity program in the nation. Yeah, and we were awarded one of the first vendor positions. So it's kind of historic, if you ask me. Yeah, so it's kind of historic. And we're dedicated as a public benefit corporation, and we also have a nonprofit arm that we just launched to put all of our research under it. So it's a third party, and it's clean, and it can be trusted. Because it's not industry funding the research. So if our industry funds the research, it's kind of like tobacco funding tobacco, right? Who's going to believe it? So, the idea behind our company is to be that third party. So academics associated with with the federal backing, they can do research on the plant through us instead of and not put their academic credentials on the line. Same with politicians. Same with also the industry can use us and not have their data skewed because it's a third party. So that's.
When I was talking to you guys about mistakes, rookie mistakes, can we talk about how I framed this? First of all, Randy should be the center of attention. He is the person being interviewed. It's my show. I went there representing my old podcast. My partner didn't show up. But it's my show. But I should not be center frame with him out of frame. The more you know.
Kind of an overview of the company. I think that's pretty good, yeah.
I think, that could probably be used in many things. It's like cops investigating cops for shooting people, you know what I mean? Like, you need some kind of third party to be the perspective, you know?
And then we couple that with the citizen science kind of approach that we talked about. Now you are really getting a large amount of metadata that you can use. We're moving into more studies. We're going to be launching a veterans study with the Veterans Alliance. Veterans Alternative Healing, Veterans Alternative Healing, Steve Mandeli's group, and that'll be the next one. And then we're gonna do probably tomorrow on the 3rd floor. We're doing a workshop for cultivation study. So we're gonna crowdsource the questions. We're going to have input from the crowd to develop the survey. So what do you want to hear? And, find out what everybody wants to hear and then compile the survey that way. And then we're probably going to move into a veterinary study because that's a really interesting problem that's happening is that since the opioid crisis has happened, the epidemic, what they've done at the manufacturing level is they've cut the production of all the opiates. Now, that means people are getting less of them, but it also means pets are getting none of it. So after these surgeries are happening on dogs and cats and other animals, they don't have any opiates for breakthrough pain, so they're doing like concoctions of lidocaine and ketamine and things like that to get them through the breakthrough pain, and it's kind of sad. So we're looking to launch into what this study is going to be based upon is how that CBD and THC can be helpful in the treatment of pain for animals, especially in those positions. So.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it at work. I have a friend who has an older dog, gives her, like, I see it happen in front of me, gives her some CBD, and literally within like 20 minutes she's up.
This interview changed my life because before this I hadn't thought about cannabis for pets, and I'll tell you more about that after this.
And walking again, it's incredible, literally.
It's unbelievable, yeah. So no, we're excited, so that's basically the gist, and we just relocated our office to Worcester, so we're a couple blocks from the CCC because we're going to be working with them, and also it's going to allow us to reach different parts of the state a little easier too, because we've been working a lot in Holyoke and Western Mass, and we were moving from Somerville, so it's
kind of centralized.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm pretty psyched about that. Yeah.
So just kind of wrapping up, how has cannabis been able to be effective for yourself personally?
Yeah. So personally, so my story from a personal standpoint is I have atopic dermatitis or eczema, and since I was a child, and at times it was absolutely horrible. I've been on topical steroids, internal steroids, waking up with my arms all bloody, and for 40 years of my life. And I'm 47, and about 2 years ago, as it became legal, there started to be all these more products popping up in the market, and I started investigating salves and these THC, CBD, full spectrum salves. So and topical steroids, they thin your skin, and steroids in general aren't good for you. And so I just said, screw it, I'm going to try it, and I got off all of my topical steroids, and I have near clear skin now for using just THC CBD salve. And so for me, it's been life-changing as far as I'm not like waking up itching. I'm not like constantly, my skin is in better condition. Just many different reasons, And then from a standpoint of chronic pain, I'm a carpenter by trade for 25 years, so my back is messed up. My shoulders are gone. So, it helps me, like, it's pain relief, for me. I don't take Advil, and I don't take opiates, it's just cannabis. So, yeah.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for talking to me. Just one last thing for my listeners and watchers out there that may not know who you are, just plug yourself on social media.
Yep, so Cannabis Community Care and Research Network. We're on Facebook, Instagram. My name is Randy McCaffrey. Go to cannacenterofexcellence.org. That's our membership platform. Please sign up. Research is woefully underfunded in this space. We have $5 memberships. It's a free membership. There's tons of wonderful content, and it's business level membership, and you can also become a data partner with us and get your own surveys done and investigate your own populations and your own products. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Hey, that was good.
Yeah, definitely.
That was such a good, when he shook my hand and said, hey, that was good. I was like, all right, I wasn't sure, guys. I wasn't sure. But I was saying it changed my life because I hadn't thought about the potential of CBD and cannabis for animals, and they have an endocannabinoid system just like we do, and I've seen it change at least one animal. Our cat here, she was diabetic and she ended up on insulin, and CBD was eventually introduced to her after I think it was a couple years of insulin and CBD. Her diabetes is in remission. It's been almost 2 years, if I remember correctly, now that it's been in remission. And she's not a young cat, so if it can affect her at a very old age, never having it before, she never got messed up from it, and she's better now. So, a lot of potential for pets. I got up. You guys noticed I went to go get my press pass from that year, and then I noticed over there the year after I had speaker because I spoke there. I was a judge, and we had a table. So from going the first year to just going with my friend B Silva, and shout out to him, he took me there for free. He bought my raffle ticket that I won the Bong and the Celtics ticket to, and was so cool about me bringing the neighbor to his first Celtics game instead of him. I was like, fam, that's your money. They're like, your tickets. He's like, nah, they're yours, A-Tech, they're yours. So he's a good friend. But he brought me to my first Harvest Cup, and then the next year is when I did these interviews. 2019. Damn, so I went in 2017. That's crazy. 2018 is when I did the interviews. 2019 is when I spoke there. That wasn't filmed for some reason. I was a judge there for THC edible drinks, I think it was for me. Edibles are tough for me. I don't really get high from them. And we had a table that we split with the wonderful and talented Miss Aunt Stacy, which I don't think I had met her up until that point, actually. We just both were in a position where we needed some help, and to get the booth together was a little cheaper, so we split the space, both made a little bit of money, sold a bunch of products, gained some customers, gained some traction out in the cannabis space, gained some attention. I think by working together, some people knew Stacy, some people knew us, some people knew neither one of us, and we brought them all to us. I had this crazy idea that we were going to have an orange tent. When you go out to all these conventions, what color tents do you see? You see red, you see black, you see green, you see purple. Never see orange. So, it was easy to tell people, look for the orange tent. We also had like the tallest sign in Harvest Cup. So even if you didn't need seeds, it said seeds on it. Even if you didn't need them, because we weren't even selling seeds, it was just a banner that grabbed attention. So we did pretty well there. And unfortunately, Harvest Cup 2020 was canceled, or we would have been there. And this year, I am getting a table again. I can't remember the date. It's going to be in October or November of this year, though, at the DCU Center in Worcester. I'm also going to be a judge again. I can't tell you what category it is until it's over with. It's part of the rules. So just stay tuned for that. I'm excited for my category, and I think if people don't know their shit in my category, they're going to get very low scores, because my category is like almost my mastery category. You know what I mean? Oh, man. This is cool to find, my little press pass from 2018. I think that was like my first official pass that wasn't bought. You know, like I had a job to do there. I didn't get paid. Aha, there you go, Max. November 13th and 14th. Stacy, maybe we could split a booth again this year. I would so be down for that. I love you. That was great. That was like super fun. My sister's gonna work it again. Maybe I can get Jess to work it again like old times. And that would be cool. November 13th and 14th, Harvest Cup 2021. It's gonna be an amazing event. I'll probably speak on some panels there too, I'm sure. I gotta talk to Jen about that. I feel like people just forget that I do panels, maybe. Either that or they're scared of me saying something controversial. You think somebody might be scared of that? Me? No. I would never. I would never. No, I don't say controversial things on panels. I just speak facts. And if you listen to all my interviews, since the beginning, I've been very consistent. I don't like Big Pharma. I've never liked Big Pharma. I do think I like Janet's point about Big Pharma doesn't need to go away, because they do have a lot of money and resources, and Western medicine is good, but it's been politicized and overused and overdone to the point where they just don't even allow people to build up a natural immune system. So that's where I stand on it. And I believe that about across the board on them. It's not like one thing is great and the next thing is bad. No, 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 no. That's not how that works. It's like, okay, so the McDonald's fries won't kill you, but the burgers will. Like, come on, fam. Like, that's not how life works. When a company does so many bad things, believe that that company is bad. Stacy says she's in, so come see us. I still got the orange tent. So come see us. We'll be there. Aunt Stacy's soaps, and she makes our bath bombs, so we won't be selling them that day. And you'll have to get them directly from the source. But we'll still have a bunch of other products, and I'm definitely gonna have a bunch of new products by then, for sure, for sure, for sure. So yeah, like I was saying, I definitely want to speak on some panels at Harvest Cup too. I gotta remember, add a mental note, reach out to Jen. What do I want to speak on about this year? I might not be able to actually because I could fit it in. It's only like an hour. I'm gonna be doing media. I told her I love her and she's done a lot for me, and I would like to help her do like a Harvest Cup media type of thing. So I'm gonna be working on that with her, and it's gonna be an awesome time. It's gonna be way more official than the stuff that I was showing y'all, which was just me showing up with a tripod and camera and talking to some people. I'm gonna hire a team and have people with me, and it's gonna be epic. It's gonna be epic. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to help her more because getting great content is how you get more attention, and that event deserves so much attention. So, but yeah, this last video is one of my favorite panels just because of where it is and who was on it too. Danny Danko was on it with me. My former business partner was on it with me. Michael Marinero, who's a great, great grower out in this area and a tremendous, tremendous person. Love him to death. Was also on it. And a cannabis breeder that made one of the popular breeds. I can't think of what it is right now. It's escaping me. He says it. Oh, Old Toby. Old Toby. That's a classic strain. He was on here as well, and then my schlubby ass. But we had some great points. We had some great times, and it was at Freedom Rally. Like Boston Freedom Rally for me, when we got our table there 2019, that was the first time we got a table there, and that was a special moment for me too because again I spoke there and had a table. Now if they let me, this if they're gonna do it outdoors this year, I hope so, that'd be great. If they let me, and if they're gonna do it outdoors, I want to do something that I don't know if anybody else has done before. I'm active in music again. Next week I'm doing my live album stream, so definitely tune in for that. My album releases on my birthday, which is March 18th, coming up. The only thing I want for my birthday is for you to listen to my album and come to my release party. That's it. That's it. So, here's what I want to do. I want to perform at Freedom Rally on stage. I want to vend there. I want to speak there. What else? I don't know if they'll let me judge. Maybe. They'll let me judge. I want to judge there. I'm going to make that a thing. I'm going to make that a goal. And I want to make enough money as a company to be one of the sponsors, even if it's one of the low-level ones. So, like 5 levels into supporting and doing all that. Because when I used to go to Freedom Rally, I'd see people on stage, and I would just be like, wow, I really want that. I would love to perform. And me and my friend Matt, we used to go and just freestyle because if you walk around the park, you'll have people with just their own PA system rapping over beats or just rapping, and that's what we used to do, and it was cool, and it would be dope to get me and him on stage there instead. He's super fire, so I'm okay. I'm all right. But this is my panel from there. I've done, I think, I gotta be close to 10 panels. Right, let's count them. Canicon was my first one. The Worcester Business something, that was another one. The Cannabis Congress Convention, whatever the fuck it was another one. That's 3. Harvest Cup, Freedom Rally. Is that it? 5? Wow, I'm way off. I gotta be forgetting some in there. I probably am. But this is my favorite out of all of them. Again, just because of the history of that place. If you don't know, you need to come to a Freedom Rally. If it's happening this year. What up, Fico fam? You're another person I need a hug from, bro. I miss you. I hope you're doing well. Hopefully you're healing up. But yeah, this is let's see. Oh, no, it's just a view of me shot on my cell phone because there was all sorts of technical difficulties. The microphones were all messing up. But it doesn't matter. It's the moment. It's the moment, right? So, yeah.
Yeah, you, the green hat.
Test. Testing. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
1, 2, 3.
The next guy.
Test. Check. Test.
Okay, number 4, Mr. Danny.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2.
All right, number 5.
Check.
All right, and 6.
Check. Uh-oh.
Okay.
Check.
Grab me that stand. Might need the wall.
All right, y'all can go right ahead.
Who's the moderator?
Who's the moderator? There was no moderator. Hint.
So this is the art of cultivating cannabis. Yeah, no. Yo. Hang on, family. I'm trying to handle the microphone. I got this job. I'm trying to get the microphone set. I got you. Let me see the microphone.
Hey, thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I am the host, DJ Slim, Puff Pass Records, America's Most Weeded. We're here at the Art of Cultivation, and we got the panelists. I'm going to go down the line, and each of them are going to tell you where they're from and what their name is and where they're from.
Microdosing on mushrooms, possibly, allegedly.
Big D from the Honeycomb Farms. We are out of Maine for many of years.
Honeycomb Farms.
Here we are.
All right.
Next panel.
Just in case you can hear it.
Problem may be happening. Hang on a second.
So it was really hot that day, and the mics didn't have the covered
Oh, they're
up,
all gone.
so. My voice just sounds loud because of the phone right there, and I have a loud voice. That's
to flip the panel. Someone needs to stand in there.
I'm trying to talk low. My baby's sleeping.
I mean, I have a loud voice.
15 feet away.
So
See,
I
I
was
said
here
it.
the whole
Step
hour.
1.
I don't know if I want to yell. Plant seeds!
Step 2.
That's Danny Danko.
Water. Step 3.
Oh, there it is.
It was an epic thing.
Step 3.
I don't know how we ended up
Go
on
right
it.
ahead. Try it out.
Check. Oh,
All
wow.
right.
Check.
My mic goes out
What's
again
your
at the
mic?
beginning, though.
They don't like you.
Loud, because if it's too loud, it doesn't flip out. So. Okay.
Whisper.
I'm a weirdo.
I like it. Roll up while we're on the panel.
Yeah, Danny's sitting to the right of me. My old partner was sitting to the right of him. And then the old Toby Genetics creator was sitting to the right of him. And then Honeycomb Farm to the right of him. Mike was sitting to the left of me. And
Oh, y'all doing out there, though? Y'all having a good time at Freedom Rally?
see, there was no
Wow, really?
moderator. Like
Y'all
I said. So who becomes the moderator?
Yeah, get some energy, y'all. Come on. I know we're all a little stony baloney, but it's all good.
Hello. All right, so let's get this panel started about the art
I'm
of
not making
cultivation.
jokes. I'm not having a good time.
I am not really moderating it, but I want to know, where do we start with cultivation? What's the art of cultivation? Where do we begin? What should people know?
I was just thinking, I can't start this. These guys are
I think the
legends.
first thing is why
man.
you should even grow, I guess, is because that's the best way to know what's
We're
in
saying
the product,
intros.
Yeah.
right? And to know the quality. And if you grow your own, you're automatically going to, if you know what you're doing, you're going to get a better product than you can buy at a dispensary automatically. And you're going to know everything that went into it. You're going to know what strain it is, whether there was pesticides used, all that stuff that they do lab testing for. You already know for sure because you did it yourself. And it's fun. But I guess we should do intros too.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'm sorry. I apologize because I had to go through the sound set. So please, that's where we were. We were at number 2 before the sound went off. Please, number 2, tell who you are
Yeah, please. I apologize. It's the sound system. I don't know. I'm just trying to improvise. So we're going to start over and let everybody introduce themselves and where they're from. Sorry we had technical difficulties. Please, my brother, please start off.
All right. Please start this off. My name is Brian, King Bee over at the Honeycomb Farms. We are caregivers out of Maine, and we have a caregiver storefront, and we grow our own.
All right, thank you very much.
My mic
We
went out. You
have
can hear it.
gentleman number 2.
My name is Matthew Gordon, and I'm
Matthew
from
Gordon.
Salem, Oregon. And a real honor for me to be here. I created this strain, Old Toby. It's a medical strain.
Yeah, created Old Toby. I don't know how much y'all guys can hear.
Breeding methods that are
pretty low in the back.
to get recognition finally, and overwhelming influence of people, reaching out about my strain, and so I thank you all for having me here.
All right, thank you very
And then my
much.
partner
All
did a
right.
great job
Number
speaking.
3, gentlemen.
My name is Andrew Wilkinson. I have a hemp farm in Taunton, Massachusetts. I started out last year as a vegetable farmer, and then quickly realized after the farm build
I remember
that
thinking,
hemp is a lot more profitable
he's speaking
than
very loud
hay.
for him.
So I switched into growing hemp, and here we are now,
Did you hear me speak?
just a little shy of harvest, almost there.
Almost there,
All right,
harvest.
all right.
I think this was September 2019.
I'm Danny Danko,
if I
the
remember
senior
correctly.
cultivation editor at High Times Magazine. I've been there almost 20 years now, but I'm from here actually. Grew up here in Boston.
There you go.
Started growing here, started smoking here, started
think you need
dealing
that.
here.
Hey!
many, many, many moons ago. But I've been coming to the Freedom Rally all my life. I love this event. It wasn't always like this. There was 300 arrests one year, so we've come a long way. And basically, I just want to encourage people to grow their own because, like I said, you get a better product if you grow your own. And you have that right here in Massachusetts to grow your plants. So there's no reason not to. And it's not difficult. It's not something you need to do for profit. But if you want to do that too, you can. But really, Head Stash is what it's all about.
Absolutely. So,
On
first of
myself.
all,
I just wanted to add to that, Danny. So your answer to that, the reason why is that passion. You got to have a passion and a love.
Yeah.
And
I was
that's
so
awesome.
humbled to be with these guys.
Definitely got to put
Anytime
the
they
plant
spoke over
first
me,
if
I
you're going
kind of get
to
annoyed
decide
when
to
that happens
cultivate,
sometimes,
because
but these guys
the way
are
you
like,
get a quality
so I'm
product
like,
is
nope.
by putting all your effort into it
I'm a
and paying
rookie
attention to
compared
it
to these guys.
and checking on it every day and things like that. I also am the author of this book, Cannabis, A Beginner's Guide, because like I said, everyone's afraid of corporate cannabis and all this boof and mids and all these things you're finding out there in the world. But the truth is you can grow your own and have a fine quality product for pennies to the dollar
Yep.
and never
A lot
have
of
to buy
these
cannabis
dispensaries
again
got
from
boof.
anywhere. So that's kind of what I encourage people to do.
absolutely. So, first of all, I just want to say I'm honored to be on this panel and to be at Freedom Rally. Been coming here since, I don't even know, since before I was 18 for sure. And smoking weed in here and just being like, damn, it would be so cool to be speaking on one of those panels. And, here we are. My name is Adam Souza. I'm co-owner of Urban Acres, the hemp farm out in Taunton, Massachusetts. We're also a processor and manufacturer. And we're trying to help the farmers. Farmers are out here having to sell their land for cheap, and they're kind of getting ripped off, or they're having to do 100-year leases on solar, which is basically like, I'm going to extort your great-grandchildren, which is awful, or they're making $400 an acre with corn when they could be making upwards of $30,000 an acre with hemp. So we're here to try to help save farming with hemp. Such an amazing plant. Thank you.
How we doing, everybody? My name
I
is
stay
Michael
consistent.
Marinello. I'm
I
born
said
and
the
raised
same
in
thing
Chelmsford, Massachusetts.
for the farmers.
Lived there for 30 years. I'm a 7-year medical marijuana patient and advocate for patients, and mass home grower as well, organic home grower, and really
He didn't
have
give
a
himself
love for
enough
this
credit.
plant. Everything you put into it is everything that plant expresses. So you got to have a really organic growing style to have a good product come out of your grow.
Do we all grow organically here? You guys all?
There was
I
no
definitely
direction,
encourage
so I had
people
to jump in.
to replicate nature as closely as possible. And remember that you're not growing weight, you're not growing, you're not growing money, you're growing essential oil, terpenoids, flavonoids, and that's what you're growing. You're producing that, the essential oil of the flower. So don't think of it in terms of ounces and pounds and things like that. It's all about the terps and the flavonoids and the essential oil, the THC, CBD. In the case of hemp, it's just as important.
Yep. Congrats,
to
Stacy.
get that essential oil production, not the weight, but the oil. That's important.
Yeah, a big part, like, it's not for the profit, but as all of you know, these dispensaries are extremely expensive, and the quality really isn't even there. Like, if you grow organically, I have 100% faith. Yeah. If you grow organically, I have holy shit, that's a lot louder. So does that mean you guys couldn't hear anything I said at all this whole time?
No, we heard.
Okay. All right. So, oh yeah, you said don't be too loud though, because, all right, so I'll whisper. Shit, what was I just saying? Stoner brain.
We're talking about, growing hemp and weight.
So it's a huge money saver, even with your electric bill. Once you figure out how to like tinker things in your own home grow, take it from me, I helped my mom set up a home grow, and she was spending, I believe, $200 a month basically between the electric and water. $200 a month to basically have an unlimited supply of medicine is very, very inexpensive considering it's like $380 an ounce in dispensaries. So, and for better quality stuff, because like I was saying, I don't know if you guys heard that, but I fully believe if you learn how to fully grow organic and grow your soil, that you could grow better than all of these dispensaries. No offense if y'all listening.
That's absolutely true. And in my travels, I've visited probably many thousands of different grow rooms.
They were literally in the tent
and I
behind us.
can honestly tell you, one of the main things that I've learned is the bigger you go, the lower the quality.
Yep.
So these big 50, 100,000 square foot facilities are not producing the quality that you can do yourself in a 4x4 tent. It's just not.
I do disagree though, because if you have the right
one of the
team,
things,
you can grow at scale.
One of the things too is with the 12 plant count, everybody feels really limited by it. One of the things that I figured out to kind of mitigate that a little bit and be able to harvest every 5 weeks or so is to, instead of doing a 6 and 6 run, you do 2, 3 and 3 runs. So that way you're still at your 12 plant limit, but you have 2 different runs going at different times. So that way you can harvest the whole crop, every 5 weeks or so. And for home growers, that's like the only thing I could find for like a loop around this 12 plant limit.
Well, also keep in mind the limit is on the amount of plants, not on the size of those plants.
Yep.
So you can veg those plants for longer and keep them in larger containers and build up a bigger root system so that you get more off of each plant. You just have to have a longer vegetative time and a larger container. But you can grow one plant and grow pounds off of it if you train it and if you have a long vegetative period and allow that plant to grow big enough to grow that much flower once you start flowering.
And while we're on that topic of a plant count limit, if you're like a nerd and you really, really dig the whole breeding aspect of kind of making your own strains, that's what's really fascinating with cannabis, is because it's dioecious. And basically, that's just a fancy way of saying that there's a male plant and there's a female plant.
So you're saying,
and when you
I don't know
cross
if you
the
guys can hear
pollen
that.
from a male into a female, you get a beautiful diversification of all of those genetics within those cultivars. So with a 12 plant,
the days when we can just smoke
that kind of limits you a little bit, unless you grow large plants and you incorporate grafting. So with grafting, you can take several different varieties and graft them onto a single plant.
Grafting,
so you can have 4, 5, 6 cultivars on a single
if you didn't
plant.
know grafting, they do it with apple trees. So you cut off the tree at one base, throw away the top if you're not liking those genetics, replace it with genetics that you like, the base, like the top of another tree cut off its base, tape it together. Works with cannabis too.
About the plant too. And then you grow it yourself. And I think fundamentals. Look at grow fundamentals and Daniel's, like any book, Daniel's stuff, Ed Rosenthal, Jorge. I get everyone's books and I read them all.
Man, I wish I could fix this audio. I should do it.
Stick with fundamentals.
It's so hard with all the crowd noise.
When you start out, you're going to make every mistake. But make sure that you're consistent with what you do. And keep a road journal.
So he's saying be consistent what you do. Grow journal. Very important in the growing process. That's how he made Old Toby.
And I mean, they're like my Bible.
And how he did that is like his Bible.
Like live by your notes, but as far as when you first start out, you have the passion.
Notes are important with growing anything.
Watering, temperature and humidity, nutrients, pH, right? Airflow in the room. I don't know.
Bacteria.
Right? It's not that many, but you want to be
My dumbass speaking into the broken mic.
To the environment, and then whatever is valuable traits and characteristics that are being expressed, or you can be more reliable that in that same environment. If you're so consistent, you'll have that consistency and predictability.
I wish we had a better quality version of all this.
And that's valuable to you. So it might be under.
Sorry guys, it's just my favorite panel.
It might be the highest THC. It might be a certain bag of peel, flavor, taste, smell. I hope.
So everybody looks for something different when they're growing cannabis.
Cuttings they got from somebody, and you're just taking it
Bag of peel, smell, taste, THC content. Everybody's different. It's true.
Ubiquitously, or not be overbreeding stuff, but to try to preserve. You got a New York diesel. Can you imagine how much it would be worth? Something in White Widow, New York, even a Girl Scout could kick ass cutting nowadays. Oh my God. Anyway, not dreaming, but consistency, a desire. What would be the next thing?
Well, one big thing we got to think about with growing is grow media. Grow media. Media. The grow
media, he said.
Big things to think about if you're growing in like cocoa, rock pools, soil, water. You gotta start researching into what kind of.
I could barely hear him. I remember. And I'm like pointing to the mic, like talking to the mic. Why am I the way I am? I never noticed we did that. Because I'm microdosing. Trying to lead this to success. He's basically saying master at grow media. I'm speaking into the broken mic. Please tell me I don't speak into the broken mic the whole time. I might.
And I don't even feed during veg at all. Now the grant PDGs are, they did need a little bit. They have a different requirement. So I use a different soil for those. I use that.
It's in Boston too, right? In Boston Common, cops and that's
only distill or
ADD out of control.
I'm good. And
That's
so
I want water.
I get
I bring
half
my own.
but I don't care because it tastes like candy. And all the leaves are yellow and brown.
I'm good. I got one down here.
And it just, that's what you want. If you're growing for weight, you feed. For personal use, take the plant aside in your garden. Try it. Experiment. I mean, sunshine number 4 is like
this audio is rough.
really has nothing. On bloom, you want to give it a little bit of, like, say, back guano. That's it. But, like, super back. Like, there's 2 kinds of back guano. Like, insect.
He's talking about
bats,
fertilizers
fruit
and
bats.
using guano
Like,
instead.
insect-eating bats are the phosphorus for flower guano. But anyway, that's it. And make sure a good ass flush. Okay. And don't overwater. Bam. That's my secret.
Don't overwater. Very important.
And what I do, I grow instead of 6 plants.
Don't
I grow
underwater
12.
either.
Because I don't feed, they get half yield. But it burns away to no ash. I'm telling you guys, it's delightful.
Media. When I was 5 years old, my dad showed me how to.
It's called
build a
What Did
garden.
Adam Say?
So I was going into first grade, and I had a small plot, maybe 5 by 10, and we grew tomatoes, lettuce, cucumbers, squash. And the big takeaway that I got from my father was that you need to build the soil. So I'm really heavy into building strong soil. And something that I found, I don't have a ton of experience with growing hemp and cannabis, but something that I've
Available
found out
everywhere
is if you take
podcasts are
care of
available.
your soil will take care of the plant, regardless of what you decide to grow.
Yeah, absolutely true. I tell people, indoors, Pro Mix is fine. Just add the things you want to add to it, whether it be green sand, guano, as Matt mentioned. Outdoors, just improve on your soil. Add organic material, add compost on top, and just keep improving on it. And you'll have to feed less and less. And basically, eventually, you'll be nutrient free. You'll be off the bottle, as they say, because your soil will be feeding the plant without you having to add anything to it. And you're spending less too, so your sustainability, but it's also affordability as well. And I think what Matt mentioned before also is important for people to understand that you're going to make mistakes, but if you keep notes and take notes, you can learn from the mistakes and not keep making them over and over. And the three biggest mistakes growers make, in my opinion, are overfeeding. This is rampant. This is nonstop. Burnt leaf tips. You'll see it even in High Times magazine. You'll see burnt leaf tips. If the tips of the leaves are burned, the plant has been overfed. You can flush all you want, it's still been overfed, and it's not going to burn properly. So overfeeding is really a big thing. Try to feed a little less. Err on the side of caution. If it needs to be fed, it'll let you know. Overwatering is the second biggest one. And the third, I would say, let me see, what was that? Overfeeding, overwatering, and not controlling the environment properly. Temperature and humidity. Not dialing those things in causes all kinds of problems, and they can be misdiagnosed as other problems, but what the problem really is the environment isn't ideal for the plant. So those three things are very important. Keep them in mind.
Yeah, overwatering is definitely a huge issue. I've done that before. There is a fine line with cannabis of you don't want to water too much because then they get lazy, right? The roots, they want to find water. If you're constantly giving them water, they're just going to stay where they are. But if they have to search for that water a little bit, they're going to spread, thus making your plant bigger. Like for us, we're only on 1/10 of an acre this year with our hemp farm. We have 140 plants on there. We water probably once every other week. And that sounds insane, right? But one, we've had a really great growing season. I'm not knocking on wood because every time I do that, something bad happens. So I'm doing the opposite now. But we've had an amazing growing season. The rain gods have been great to us. So, that's awesome. But at the same time, we build our soil with microbes. So these microbes are constantly just breaking things down or organic matter down, constantly having a nutrient source and, having great soil, like Andrew was saying. The drainage is great on it for outdoor growing. Now for indoor growing, it becomes a little harder with your watering, right? Because you don't want them to dry out completely, because when the soil dries out completely, you go to water, the water just comes right out, or it takes you 25 minutes to water one plant, and that's just not viable, right? So you got to find that happy medium. For me, when I grew indoors, I had a schedule. So I would water / feed Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So Monday I would typically water, Wednesday I would feed, Friday I would water a little heavier. It always got me there because, like he was saying, my environment was spot on. 70 degrees, 40% humidity, great airflow, everything like that. So, don't overwater. I think that was my whole point. Oh, we're talking about mediums. That totally.
Well, the reason most people would tell you to go with a soil, or what's really not actually typically soil indoors, it's actually a soilless medium made of peat moss and perlite and things like that. It's more forgiving than hydroponics. Hydroponics has to be really dialed in. There's a lot of things you have to think about because you live and die by the reservoir when you're growing in hydroponics. So everything has to be dialed in: pH, parts per million of your nutrient solution, the temperature of the water, all these things that when they're dialed in, you do get quick growth rates. But I don't think that's what anyone's looking for anymore. I think that's an underground mentality, and we don't have to think that way anymore. In fact, I don't even think indoors is the way to grow anymore, to be honest. If you're growing in bulk, do that in a greenhouse where you get the best of both worlds. You get the sunshine when you've got it. You can control the environment. You don't get the dust and the rain and the wind and all that of outdoor, but you do get the sun, and it's free. It's a big grow light in the sky that you can take advantage of.
The best grow light.
And if you can do light deprivation
Keep doing that.
with the greenhouse, and you can do light supplementation inside the greenhouse when it's overcast or you want more light to be hitting your plants, you have all those options and opportunities. And I think that's the future of growing, to be honest. I think there's no reason to grow indoors anymore with all the HVACs and all the cost of the electricity for all the lighting and all the air conditioning.
There's definitely a reason.
It's going to be cost prohibitive at some point as well, because so many people are growing so big.
I actually have a question for the panel. That Danny brought something up just now, that augmented lighting in greenhouses. Where I'm growing in Oregon, it's like we got 200 days a year. It's too cloudy to produce bud at the end of the flower season. So I want to get some LEDs that put in the greenhouse to augment. But honestly, I don't know what there's so many new ones coming out. Annie and the rest of you, what's a good LED to put in my grow light when I get home?
There's a lot of quality LED products out there. I really think that ceramic metal halides are the light of this era right now, because
in a group house outside.
yeah, ceramic metal halides are more efficient than high-intensity discharge lights like traditional metal halides or high-pressure sodium lighting. And yet, I mean, even in Washington, I think Seattle, they're paying growers to convert from 1,000-watt high-pressure sodium lights to ceramic metal halides that are like 630s or something like that. But they're getting subsidies because it's saving so much electricity.
Wow, I want one bad. Thank you.
So CFLs, I think, there hasn't been a lot of innovation in lighting, and now there's been a lot in the last like 5 to 10 years with LEDs, with fluorescence, and with ceramic metal halides.
Thanks for mentioning fluorescence still.
I remember my back being on fire.
Source,
This was at the end of the day.
There's a lot of
plugging everything in, setting it all up.
Plasma.
I lugged it all in by myself.
They're plasma lights essentially, and they're pretty good. I've always liked fluorescence.
I mean, as far as rooting clones, there's nothing better than a full bank of fluorescent lights.
So utilizing supplemental light in the greenhouses at the end of cycle. I mean, we have a lot of the problems up here, up north where I'm at in the Maine area, and right now actually they have recently come out with a double-ended ceramic metal highlight that is it's a high output. That's able to plug straight into your double-ended fixture to replace it. So that's one of the really cool things that you could, I mean, you can get the full benefits of having the high intensity with your ceramic metal highlight light.
So he was just telling me that like they haven't talked anything about like pest management. So like I said, there's no moderator. Somebody gotta do it.
Move on. I want to talk a little bit more about light depth, and some might
like one of the major benefits, but think about the other benefit of, not getting powdery mildew in the fall, not getting all the issues that come with fall weather in New England. You know what I mean? Or in Northern California, or anywhere else you happen to be growing. I mean,
anywhere
and
around the 45th parallel, right? Anywhere around the 45th parallel. So what do you think down Humboldt?
Well, in some places you do light supplementation instead. In Colombia or in Jamaica, they're just 12-12 all the time. So they do light supplementation to keep their plants vegging so that they can get bigger plants, and then they just stop lighting them and they flower automatically because they just have a flowering cycle for a light schedule.
Cheat code.
Yeah, right. So, but also light depth, the original, NorCal, founders of light depth technology did it to beat the cops and the rippers too, not just the weather.
So another thing that I was just thinking about up here, like pests. How do we manage pests, right? And I feel like this guy might know some things about it.
All right, so yeah, IPM is a huge aspect of growing when you really don't want to spray anything on your plants. So you know, being up on top of them at all times, and, you know, actually looking at them and seeing what's happening to them, if it's changing, you know, a leaf color and because it has an aphid on it, or, you know, you can flip your leaf over and actually stare at it. And, you know, some of these bugs you really don't even need a microscope. I mean, you can see them with your plain eyes. And if anyone's growing outdoors this year, you know, there's a huge chance you're going to have some sort of pest that you're going to come in contact with, whether it's caterpillars, you know, butterflies lay their eggs on top of plants, and usually they lay them in the same area every year. So they're going to drop these eggs, and I mean, if you can actually look at these eggs on top of your plants, and if you can remove them before and be on top of it, that's one thing. But if any of those caterpillars hatch, they're going to start going down your buds. They're going to eat inside. They're going to lay feces, and that's where your bud rot's going to start from, which is your botrytis. And then you really got to chop your whole plant down within days, because it's going to spread, and you don't want to smoke mold or any sort of any of that. So there's ways to stop it, but there's still, you know, to prevent it before. I mean, instead of spraying anything on your plants, there's beneficial insects, and people use ladybugs are a good one. And then you can go to the more predatory insects, like a Cyrus insidious, which is a minute pirate bug. Lacewings. Or a lacewing as well. And there's Californicus works. And there's just so many different ones that you can use for different pests. And you know, it's really being on top of your plants first and seeing what's going on to know how to actually attack it. Instead of just running to your local Home Depot and grabbing some Bayer and spraying it on your plants while you're in flower and then smoking it in 4 weeks. And I know I don't want to do that, and I don't recommend anyone doing that. And trying to prevent that and educate people is the biggest thing, because, you know, even if you're spraying something on your plants and your neighbor's growing next door, there's a little thing called wind. And the wind can bring things away. And another topic we could talk on is how there's crop dusting for Triple E everywhere. But that's, you know, the second year we're allowed to grow hemp in Massachusetts. To get into that's another thing. If you have anvil all over your plant. I don't know if that's still going to be on there, but we'll find out.
Yeah, it's a lesson people learn the hard way, that prevention is a lot easier than treatment when it comes to pests. Just checking the underside of the leaves, checking the surface of your medium constantly, and not just checking one plant, but checking the one in the back corner. You know, that's where they're going to start their attack. Take off dead, undying leaves from your plant. Get rid of them. Don't just take them off and throw them on the ground. I can't tell you how many dirty grow rooms I've been in where there's dead leaves on the floor, puddles of water. Things like that are an invitation for bugs. Yellow leaves are an invitation for bugs. Take them off and compost them. Get rid of them. Don't just leave them around. The reason that the sticky traps are yellow is because bugs are attracted to that color, because it's the color of decay of a dying plant, and that's where they know they can attack from, and that's where they set up shop, and then they attack the rest of your plants from there. So get rid of that, and you prevent them instead of then having to deal with an actual infestation, which is a nightmare. A nightmare.
Hey, before we get started, I hate to cut you off, but we found a wallet. Is there Will Bruner?
No, there's not anyone else. I wanted to say one thing is, I mean, hemp is marijuana. Marijuana is hemp, right? And so when you cross a tropical strain, like Danny was talking about, where in Jamaica and Colombia, where it's 12-12 all the time, and it's constantly flowering, the native or the strains that have been, you know, that are used to that environment, they're very long flowering strains. They have a very light feeding and different requirements, lighting requirements. And then you get the indica stuff that every good strain is pretty much at least half of or a third.
Did it really?
Holy
shit.
Heavy feeding and different. So, and then when you cross the hybrid, there's never going to be such a place as Panama, Afghanistan, right? You're not going to those two. So it's going to have to be changing and adapting generation after generation from seed. Even from when you clone it, there's this thing called drift, where it's relying on genes from it, you know, the capacity to survive or thrive in that new environment, which again, it's always going to be. Now, Dr. Seth has a 14% CBG, 8 weeks of flowering, and a bunch of good CBD strains.
I play the whole thing, but it's so hard to hear.
3% CBC. And so, and Mark Lewis is working with
growers make, but let's talk about like harvest and processing, because I think a lot of people make their mistakes there as well. Starting with harvesting too early, you know, a lot of stuff comes in a little premature, and then also just how they dry and cure their product.
Look at
And even
that
store.
tan, man.
Yeah,
Farming
curing
also.
is everything. Like, you could do the best job ever and then mess up your cure,
I almost said
and
fuck
your
up.
weed's gonna suck. It's just that way. Like, you could basically get rid of all your terpenes if you cure it the wrong way and dry it the wrong way. You could introduce molds and mildews and bacteria to it. You know, I don't know about you guys, but my way to dry and cure is in complete darkness. I don't put a fan directly on it because in my experience it dries it too quickly. I put it under it, so it just has airflow hitting the wall behind it, coming up over it. And usually, you know, in 10 to 14 days at most, I'm ready to throw them into jars, and within a week of that, I'm smoking some top shelf cannabis. And you know, it's just about controlling your environment again with growing. With indoor growing, that's like the hardest thing. You got to keep things clean. Like our farm, we pluck off leaves as long as they're not like any kind of pests or anything. We just throw them on the ground, and guess what? We have compost. Now we have nutrients going to our soil. It's great.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different. And then, you know, going back what you were talking about with genetics, Andrew and I are really excited about the future for 1-to-1, because the hemp strains that we have are so close to the original cannabis strains. Like, they're only 2 to 3 generations away from the original cannabis strains. I don't know why. Oh, Nepalese is one of them, and then G13, one of the original CBD strain, is also one of them. So Andy's our genetic guy.
Can I talk to you after the?
Absolutely.
Wow. Thank you so much.
The colder the better when you're drying as well, like drying and curing, because terpenes, those essential oils that come off, the fact that you're even smelling cannabis in the air is that some of that is the terpenes leaving the plant at high temperatures. So the cooler the better when you're drying and curing. It's really important, and a lot of people don't realize how much water is coming off of the plant either. It's like 75% of the weight in water is coming off into the air. So depending on where you live, that can be a problem that you have to solve with the dehumidifier. In some places, they need to add humidifiers, because in places like Colorado where it's just so dry, things happen too quickly and they have to slow the process down. In Northern California, it happens too slowly and they have to speed it up. So it's about controlling the environment when you're growing and after you harvest as well, because you don't want those terpenes and flavonoids to be leaving the plant.
Yeah.
And I had a comment to make on that too. If different strains are different too. Like, some strains are so encapsulated in trichomes that you've got to dry them quicker. And then, so even for drying, keep in mind different genetics are different, but are going to have slightly different requirements. But I talked to a gentleman today that they're doing 24-hour freeze quick dry method, and the stuff I saw looked like candy. I mean, it was like, and I said, man, this stuff could be a couple months old. And look at this pick yesterday, stick to the wall. He's like, the guy gave it to me 6 weeks ago, you know. So I think that in the very near future, there's going to be highly advanced. I guess there's a machine.
There's harvest right, and there's cryo cure. There's freeze drying is definitely a thing that's happening. It's an expensive process. It's an expensive machine to buy.
Flash freezing is a little bit less expensive.
Right. Flash freezing is also, and hash makers also love this. I know there's a hash panel later, so we won't go too much into that. But the extract artists, they don't care if the plant is cured at all. I mean, they don't need it cured. They need it fresh, frozen, right?
Should have been on the main stage.
Do you like a cured plant?
It's a lot easier to actually, when you go into the post-harvest for extractors, to just have it at least dry, for like 90% dry, and it's a lot easier of a pack compared to like live resins. Although it's 3 times the amount of work on a processor. That's why it costs 3 times the amount to have a post-process done to your live resin compared to
you're cured. You don't necessarily need it cured. Actually, the less cured, the more terpenes that we're holding, because you get it dried as fast as possible and not too hot. You don't want to dry it like a dehumidifier by taking it down to 0% humidity. But taking it down, also with the freeze dryer.
Strain's different and every purpose, and I'm lucky because I've got one strain.
Yeah,
one,
so it's
one
frustrating.
old Toby, and it's real leafy, very, very leafy. It's like a hemp hybrid almost. It's very little cannabis, but the
You said a
process
hemp
is like
hybrid,
that,
as if hemp
but
is
the
just
tight
leafy
bud,
and
the
like
real tight nug,
wow.
they did, and stuff like that. So and there's everything in between, right? And that being said, do test with drying too.
Yeah.
Test batches in every way you can. You know what I mean? And find what's you'll get better and better and learn what's. And some strain you're going to do one way. We got stuff we just make bubble hash out and rosin with it. We've got other stuff we tumble. We've got other stuff we freeze. And there's stuff specifically grown for distillate. So when you get right and so forth. So I just wanted to throw that out there. And every strain is different.
I'd like to add, before we finish the conversation on drying, I'd like to add a little bit more about freeze drying. So I've been experimenting with freeze drying for a little while now, and basically what that is you're taking a fresh plant and you're immediately bringing the temperature down to about -40 degrees. So it basically captures all of those terpenes. You don't lose any. And it freezes it in the exact position as you just harvested. And then slowly, over the period of a day or two, in a vacuum, the temperatures rise. And as that happens, it slowly pulls all of the moisture away. And when you do that, and you store it properly, freeze-dried bud can last forever. And it stays in that exact moment when you harvested it. You can smoke it whenever 25 years later. And you can go back and be like,
It's
wow, I
stored
remember
properly.
this. And it'll smoke exactly the same. Perfectly dry.
And it's really smooth too. We freeze dried and we smoked a joint of some freeze dried bud, and oh my god, like you don't cough. Like there's no nothing in the back of the throat, like no harshness. Like it's just something about it. We just got to figure out how to do it at scale.
Yeah, it's expensive.
Yes.
The technology, but it's getting more and more affordable, and people are starting to rely on that as well because they can bring a product to market in like 24 hours basically from harvest.
Hey, before we wrap up, I don't know if anybody's done this, but does anybody have any questions out here that's watching about growing that, hey.
I get some mic? Auto flower?
Yeah, they are improving for sure. Inherently they have ruderalis genetics, which is basically a low THC variety, right? It's like rope hemp crossed with cannabis. But because it's from northern Russia and northern Europe area, it flowers automatically, and so that trait was bred into cannabis and kind of diluted it. The first few generations really diluted the potency. So people in Europe love it because they just mix that with tobacco or they make hash out of it.
Yeah.
But we like to smoke potent flower. So it got a bad rap for a while, but now I think there's so many generations in that they've really bred into autoflowers like a lot of potency back. So, I think.
Yeah.
I hold the mic like a rapper still. It's hilarious.
Right. In regards to autoflower, I've actually in autoflower and entrepreneurship. So recently I've been entertaining the idea of using whole fields of autoflower because you don't have to worry about cold temperatures. You can regulate your harvest. You know exactly what you're going to get. And it's more mechanized. So at scale, it would be easily to plant it, wait till it flowers, harvest it, and then plant it again. So when you're talking even 1 acre, 2 acres, 10 acres, you can really allocate certain plots. So you can have a perpetual harvest, and you can really not get into the trouble of oh my God, I've got 30 acres and it all needs to get harvested now. So I think in the future, as soon as people really experiment with the genes and weaving those genes into the autoflower, I think there's a lot of potential.
Yeah, we've done some numbers on like right now, the way we grow hemp, we get about 1,300 to 1,500 pounds an acre. With autoflowers, we were doing a little bit of math, and we have to do some experimentation, obviously, but we're looking at almost triple that with the autoflowers, just because of perpetual harvest.
And I could give you a little bit of advice about autoflower, just quickly. You can't grow anything from clone. It's all seed, and so there's a vast amount of labor involved in
all seed, no clone.
So you take that into account. But what you want to do, though, is you want to have a perpetual harvest. So what we did is instead of putting plants, we spaced them out, and then the next week another one, the next week another one, and then, so that the way that you plant it, you're really having a perpetual harvest because you're out there getting rid of males and looking for Hermes or whatever anyway.
Yeah. Well, they have feminized autos. They have feminized autoflowers as well, which is really the most popular auto. The feminized autos are out there. I get asked a lot about indoor lighting schedules for autoflowering plants. You don't have to change it; just leave it at 18 on, 6 hours off. Throughout the whole cycle. You don't have to change it to 12-12, you'll just get a smaller yield. So just 18 on, 6 off is pretty ideal for autos indoors.
Something else I'd like to weave in entrepreneurship.
Any more questions?
Because right now, in 2019, we can look back and say, all right, it's 1984, and hemp and cannabis is the computer. Right now, the market is wide open. So if you ever have an inkling of something, I'm doing something that I hate. I grew up very average, and I kind of fit in the mold. And I went swapped from job to job, thinking that the next one was going to be the one
Q&A
that I
on
liked.
panels,
Eventually, I
guys. If you run panels out there,
2 months
it's time
after
to go.
graduation, I realized I'm screwed.
We should have had more than one question.
Okay. I felt like I couldn't
That's
breathe.
more value than
You're in
anything
that
we've talked
situation
about.
right
Honestly,
now.
it should be like
Now's the
intros
time
and then people ask
to
questions.
really get involved. And if
That's
you
the way
live
I want to
around
start
here,
doing panels.
I'd say, as a growing hemp at least, really start with strong genetics. Start with a strong foundation, because you can look at genetics from California or Colorado, and you can look at those and say, wow, those guys in Humboldt, man, they can grow. But you know what it is? They can grow what they grow. They grow what works best there. You can take those seeds and plant them in your backyard and they'll fall flat. Where in the same respect, you can have cultivars that have been trained over the past few years that are really adapted to this environment. And in the same respect, where you can't really take those Humboldt varieties and bring them back, you can't take these varieties and bring them to Colorado or California. And that's really kind of ties into how we see the wine industry, where you have areas of really unique, diverse crops. And as an area, I think we need to stick together as far as genetics, because genetics is a lot of work. And finding the exact cultivars that you want with the phenotypes that you're looking for takes a lot of work and a lot of sifting through outliers. If we're all on the same page working together, I can say, hey, listen, I've got this one cultivar that's started flowering 3 weeks before everything else. And then my neighbor has a cultivar with a terp profile unrivaled to anything. It smells exactly like bananas. Now we can take both of those phenotypes and start weaving them together to get something that nobody else has.
All right. Thank you all very much. We got to cut this right now, but before you go, tell everybody who you are again.
But yeah, so that was one of my favorite panels. And, man, I wasn't expecting to go 2 hours tonight, but here I go, always doing that shit. Next week, I will be back with my album release show. I believe I'm going to go live either at 9:30 or 10. I know, I'm sorry, it's so late. Maybe I'll go at 9. I'll go at 9, just because it's not as late. But I'm going to have my album release party. The album is released on March 18th, which is my birthday. So, Max, you said send you a demo. I'll just wait till my album comes out. You can hear my album, and y'all can decide. You know, That'll be cool if I can get to perform at Freedom Rally. So yeah, hopefully I'll see some of y'all next week. Got some great guests coming up after that. So make sure you tune in. As always, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Good vibes in the world. Please subscribe and follow the page, and have a tremendous day. Peace out.